Welcome to the RNBE, a weekly podcast right here at Comicstorian where I bring another comic book expert, Robert Jefferson of Comics Explained, the only man on the entire internet who knows everything about comic books and is never wrong in anything that he has ever said, to join me and discuss comic books.
That's not entirely accurate. I've only ever been wrong once before.
When were you wrong?
Oh, I was like 11. I didn't know any better. That's fun.
Today we're going to be joined by our guest, Gary Girl of Gary Girl.
That's me. Old Gary Girl.
We're back to Gary.
Yeah.
Gary's joining us here. And don't forget, guys, today's episode is brought to you by Hims, a great website for Hims.com where you can get hair products, skin products, and sexual wellness products. We'll be discussing that a little bit later into the show today, so don't worry. Now, today's topic is a little bit more freeform. We tried to do a little bit of research on this, and I felt like it was the kind of topic that we couldn't do a lot of research on.
No, I wouldn't do anything. I would just talk about it.
Well, that's what it is. It's more of a discussion topic in general, which is why I feel like you're great here, because you don't know that much about comics in general, other than what Rob and I have told you.
Yeah.
Okay, so today's topic
apparently you can't take the time to do any research on your own.
Nope.
So,
He's good at cameras.
yeah.
Yeah.
Someone think he's the camera guy.
I know.
Gary
Girl.
Girl. Gary Girl.
Anyway, today's topic is simple. Why is Superman so popular, but not as popular as Batman? That title is way too long, so I have a feeling that I'm going to name this podcast something very clickbait, like, is Superman better than God? I mean,
Yeah, there you go. Is Superman better than God? Yeah, he punched him really hard.
Wait, who punched who really hard?
Superman punched God really hard. The presence? He's hit the presence.
no, I don't think he's hit the presence.
He's hit the he hit the Spectre and got wrecked.
But yeah, so this episode may be shorter than normal and maybe longer than normal. It depends on how the topic is going to go. Yeah. But the reason why the topic would be named Is Superman Better Than God is I have read reports, and I could not find confirmation on this, but that the symbol of Superman is more widely recognizable than Batman and even the Christian cross.
Well, let's use the power of this thing called the internet.
If you can find confirmation on what I read originally. But the fact is, he's more recognizable, but Batman is more popular. Batman sells books.
Yeah, I can see that.
Superman is DC. I mean, if you change the logo of DC to Superman, you would still know hand in hand what they are.
Sure. I mean, it's no different than saying, like I was telling you guys earlier, the most widely used likeness in the world right now is actually Albert Einstein. So his face is used for more things than any other face in history. For caricatures, and whenever you want to create a mad scientist, you usually go for the Albert Einstein look.
Yes. Is it that meme one where he's got the pipe and his hair is going?
Yeah, exactly. And so
Dylan should put that on the screen sometime around here.
Exactly. And so people know the face of Albert Einstein, but how many people can actually tell you much about Albert Einstein?
Honest to God, I don't. I know he's made a lot of things.
Yes.
I have no idea what they are. Okay. I like to attribute, I'm not a super intelligent person, but I'd like to say that I'm a little above average just with everything that I've accomplished.
Yeah.
And I don't know a lot of what Albert Einstein actually has done other than the iconic E = MC squared.
Right.
Which, depending on where you use it, could mean multiple. Yeah. I don't know the appropriate even use of that.
But that's like the difference between being widely recognized and more popular.
Yes.
Yeah, there is a difference between those two things.
Yeah.
Just because something is well known doesn't mean it's popular.
Right. So, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's start at the beginning then. Let's start at the beginning of this whole thing while Rob is looking up the God thing. Okay, to see if it is.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I can't
find. I know I read it that in some circles the Superman symbol is more recognizable than the Christian cross.
There's all these things like Superman versus Jesus. Like, which one has a bigger impact on society?
Yeah, and I've seen those things too, because there's a lot of things where Superman can be related to Jesus and the whole story of Christ.
I can see that. Yeah.
But as far as being more recognizable, I think it also would depend on what circle you're in. But the symbol of Superman, it does represent hope, and people around the world can see it. And
you're shaking the whole table, man.
Oh, my bad. What, is it bothering you, Rob? Does it bother you that I shake the table?
Bothers you touching my leg?
Anyway, though, so let's go ahead and start at the beginning. Out of the two main superheroes in DC, okay, and I've had this argument with you before, not argument so much, but that Superman and Batman are more recognizable than even the Avengers. Though I will say, with these recent 10 years of MCU movies, that is slowly shifting.
Yeah, prior to the launch of the MCU, they were more popular.
The three superhero symbols that you would know, and no matter where you went, were Superman, Batman, and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Those were the symbols back in the day. Even to this day, the MCU has made a lot more characters more recognizable, but I can't always tell an Iron Man symbol when I first see it because they rotate it. Face and that weird arc reactor.
Yeah.
They don't there's no definitive symbol for him. Captain America's a little more recognizable now thanks to the shield.
Yeah.
The shield pops up everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even on pajamas.
I mean, I always recognize it, but again, I've been reading comics forever too.
But I can't think of any other superhero even from the MCU that has been made bigger thanks to that kind of stuff.
I mean, but see, that's the debate though. Like the Incredible Hulk. All right, everybody knows of the Incredible Hulk, and they have for a long time because of like the show and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, Thor. You know, people know of Thor. How familiar they are with him in the comics, we don't know, but he's based off existing mythology.
Right.
So, like, they know who Thor is. I mean, things like that. Like Iron Man, sure. Like, I think they know of the concepts in terms of like recognizing them. But I mean, when it comes to superheroes, no, Superman and Batman were always
absolutely
ahead of everybody.
I'd say Spider-Man. Yeah. Spider-Man's up there, but he's not even as big as them. Like they were always the kings of the crop.
I mean, actually, I would take that back. I'd say they were until Spider-Man.
Until
and
Spider-Man.
I'd say within the first 5 years, because remember when Amazing Fantasy number 15 came out, like that was huge. And by the time Amazing Spider-Man number 1 came out, like Spider-Man had a huge following. So I mean, like I would say probably within the first 5 years of his existence in Marvel Comics, he probably rose to be as popular because he changed a huge dynamic in comics.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, so then let's go back to out of the two for DC staple. They've got a symbol for everything, which is one thing I've actually liked about DC versus Marvel. And on a iconic, just from like. You can get merchandise with DC characters on it and symbols on it, and it's more recognizable than say getting a Marvel thing.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, they don't really have symbols. They have aspects of them. That
Right, they do. Like you'll sometimes see Hulk's fist.
Yeah.
That'll be something you'll see pop up. You'll see Thor's hammer, maybe. You can buy a Captain America shield, but you know
some
the
of
symbols.
them have symbols.
Right, and DC actually goes out of their way to make symbols for characters who don't have them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, all the lantern symbols and everything.
That's, I mean, like even Catwoman has a cat symbol that they'll pop up occasionally and use.
Really?
Yeah, every character has a symbol of some form or fashion that has been used in somewhere. But so going all the way back to the beginning of this discussion, if Superman's more recognizable, and it's very easily that Superman is the more recognizable symbol than a bat, why is Batman more popular? Let's start the discussion there.
Oh, I'd say because Batman's an underdog.
I don't consider him an underdog at all.
No. Batman under there's no conceivable reason for Batman to be able to beat Superman. Like every single fight they have, it comes down to like
when it's
kryptonite.
a hero versus hero, he might be the underdog.
Yeah,
but in
he's
general, he's a billionaire.
Playboy, multiple businesses.
If we're talking about like Batman in comparison to like the whole of humanity. Sure, he's not an underdog.
Right.
But you're talking about a guy. Like all it would take is a sniper on a rooftop who knows that Batman's Bruce Wayne and like Batman's dead now. Like that's all it takes.
So
I mean,
are you saying his popularity is based on the fact that he could be you?
Yeah.
If you had $1 billion, you could be Batman tomorrow.
He's more relatable. That's exactly it.
Okay.
People, I mean, Superman's cool, but nobody can relate to being a Kryptonian from another planet who got powers because they're in the yellow sun. But weird. Like, if a person sits down and says like, "Hey, if I win the Powerball, like." I could become Batman because like there was a systematic breaking down that you would need $675 million to become Batman. Yeah. That's a tangible number.
Well, yeah, and I mean, how many kids, like how many 12-year-old boys or girls, will sit there and actually like design their own superhero suit that's like functional because they got inspiration from Batman.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is my grappling hook and this is my, whatever, because they can. They could potentially go on Amazon and buy some of these things. You can't buy the power of flight.
Wait, where on Amazon is the bat suit?
Not a bat suit. Grappling hooks.
I mean, I would kind of like to know.
Ninja stars. Like, you could just go online and buy that stuff.
What you're going to do is you're going to go on there, you're going to look up the bat suit, and it's going to say, like, sold by Bruce Wayne, fulfilled by Amazon. And it's
fulfilled by Amazon.
Yeah, and there's one seller in only one suit.
Certified refurbished.
Yeah, certified, yeah.
I'm gonna give you a credit card with no limit. Okay. I want to see if you can make yourself a bat suit.
Oh, I totally could. I was working on.
And then I'll give you the bill
I was
for
like
that
trying
credit
to
card.
build my own superhero suit when I was 12. I have like sketches and everything.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
So,
man.
I mean, to counter that, I agree with you. No one can really be a Kryptonian who's coming down to Earth and trying to learn the ways. But at the same time, part of what makes Superman interesting is most of his stories is about him trying to become human and basically be recognized as human and blend in with people.
But see, that's the issue, though. I mean, I do love Superman's stories, and I think it's fun to watch him fight. But the issue is Superman stands for, like, incorruptibility. Like, Superman is incorruptible. Like, he cannot become a bad guy.
Except for Injustice.
Well, okay.
Which, honestly, I think is what makes
in
Injustice so
extremes.
interesting, because he does finally...
He becomes a bad guy. But in the main DC universe, like, aside from somebody using magic or, like, black kryptonite or red kryptonite or something like that, like, Superman, like, always does the right thing.
Right.
And I think that the biggest problem people have with that is they look at that and they say, well, then like it's all their flaws thrown into their face. Whereas
Sure.
Batman is a guy who like screws up and like he's like, hey, look, like we shouldn't do that, but like maybe we can. But people who like read the comics know that like Bruce Wayne's on like a knife's edge, and at any moment he could just like lose it and just be thrown in Arkham Asylum forever. He's like Jason Todd. The death of Jason Todd meant Batman screwed up. The Barbara Gordon being shot in the stomach and being paralyzed, like Batman screwed up. Like there's all these things where it's like if Batman had like arrested the Joker or killed him, then like none of that would have happened. Like Batman screwed up. Batman's he's fallible.
Yeah, the difference is Batman is dealing with being human and the limitations of humanity, whereas Superman just wants to be seen as human.
Yeah, I would say
and there
that.
aren't many human beings, I think, that feel like they need to struggle with being seen as human.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I do.
Don't you understand
I'm a robot.
my feelings
that's
and my
true.
thoughts? You're a robot. You're the Vision.
This is actually oil. You think I'm drinking black coffee?
It's oil.
That's why I always find
So-
it weird when you steal a sip and you don't say anything.
I wonder why it always tasted weird. It was like thick and
thick.
gelatinous.
Well, you got diarrhea afterward.
I'm sick for days.
Sick for days. So I want to add one more thing to the mix. Why people identify more with Batman, or why he has a bigger following. It's a sense of cynicism with him that I think most human beings, at least a lot of people nowadays, like kind of carry with them, is this feeling of cynicism toward, I don't know, government or finances or whatever it is.
Batman has no cynicism towards finances. He has
No.
finances.
Yes, but
Man, I wish I
he-
wasn't broke.
But he carries.
I've only got like $80 billion.
Last week I had 80. What? Sidebar to go with that
Yeah.
though. What was that show I was watching? There's a show where a guy was crying that he was not a it was Silicon Valley.
Okay.
It was like he was like a multi-millionaire or billionaire,
Yeah.
and he was upset because he had one less billion. So
Yeah.
he was in a different club now.
Wow.
That's actually a real thing. Assuming that you'd be happier if you had more money.
Oh yeah,
if you
like
ask
the
people-
happiness index maximized at 75K.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how much more money do you need to be happy? It's like, well, I need 50 grand a year. Okay, well, how much more? And you ask somebody who makes 50 grand a year,
Yeah.
well, how much more money do you need to be happy? I need 75, and it just keeps going up.
Oh, yeah.
People just assume that they need more money.
Yeah.
And it never stops.
Reverse flash pull from our Twitch chat, because this is streamed every Thursday morning on
Yeah.
Twitch. I forgot to say at the beginning of the episode. Commented, it was the Trey's Comma Club. It was the Three Commas Club. He was all out of the Three Commas Club in Silicon Valley.
The 3 commas
That was
club.
the
Wow.
joke.
That's such a mean club. Like,
I don't watch Silicon Valley, so I have no
Yeah.
idea. I
Well,
couldn't get into
if I remember
it.
correctly, the way the episode went, you'll get a kick out of this. You should watch Silicon Valley. It's
I've
great.
tried. I couldn't get
You
into
can't get into it.
Yeah, I
It
couldn't
does
get
have
into
its own unique sense of humor. But the joke was they showed up and he's like, "I've lost my millions. I've lost all my money." And they're like, "What? How do you still have all this stuff in your cars and everything like that?" And he's like, "I lost a comma." And they're like, "You lost a comma?" And he's like, "I only have like 100 million left or something like that." Like it was still an astronomical number.
Wow.
yeah.
Jesus. Must be nice, man. Must
It
be
is
nice.
nice. It
I've
is
only
nice.
got $100 million sitting around.
Pretty much that was the joke, though. His
Yeah.
joke was that he still had a massive amount, but like he was off of the $1 billion club or whatever like that.
Yeah, I can do a hell of a lot with $100 million, man.
He was pulling out his investment on their thing.
I
because of
can
it.
make some things happen with $100 million.
Turn it into $1 billion. That's how you
Turn it into
work
$1 billion.
that money.
And then you lose the comma.
That's what Mark
then you
Cuban
lose the
did. Mark
comma.
Cuban, he started out with a $10,000 loan, turned himself into a billionaire.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
anyway, yeah. Back to the topic you were saying. I'm sorry, I interrupted you because
What's
you're
up?
having the money. I don't even know where the sidetrack came out of.
Cynicism.
Cynicism.
Batman's-
Yes.
Yeah. I think Batman carries a sense of like he's just a little cynical. Not totally
Yeah.
cynical because he still fights for what's right, but he carries a sense of this brooding. Please don't do that.
What?
You're gonna mess with the
Whatever you're
focus.
doing.
That's not going to mess with the focus.
No,
It'll be
it
fine
won't.
on
It's
it.
it's fine.
I just wanted
I'm
to see if I could
being-
put it
I'm
up
just being
and
dramatic.
block your
I'm just being
thing for a
dramatic.
second.
That's just mean.
I thought it'd be kind of funny.
Well, it's not.
I'm starting to feel cynical.
Are you? Well, fine then.
We're just
Gary.
messing with you, Rob.
I know.
Like Rob got all hurt. He's
Yeah.
like, I thought
Well,
it'd be funny.
I thought you guys were like, I thought you guys were getting angry. I was like, no, I didn't mean to be.
No, that's my only point. Is I think the average person it feels a little cynical about things, and I think Batman is more relatable there.
Kind of fulfills that.
Yeah.
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 Well, plus
absolutely.
it gives people the ability to criticize Batman too. Like he's a person you can criticize. Like
Yeah.
Batman's a terrible superhero. Why? Well, because Gotham City still sucks.
It's awful.
And he's been
But
fighting
using
crime
that
for
logic
years.
actually, no, I will say, I mean, Metropolis is pretty spot on.
It's pretty solid.
Well, the
Nobody
only
really
things
messes
that
around.
like in Gotham, we still have like low-level thugs. And Metropolis is like, don't do anything unless you're Lex Luthor.
Yeah,
exactly.
Or Brainiac.
Unless you think you
Yeah.
can get away with it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. The Superman,
Gotham's
like,
like,
just swoop in.
I mean, it's not real.
yeah, they're like, whatever, man, it's Batman, who cares? He can't fly.
You can't be everywhere at once.
Yeah, he can't be everywhere at once. He can be in like 2 places at once. Like, a couple places.
Yeah.
You know what? That's just sidebar again.
Yeah.
I've realized when people go to Gotham versus Metropolis, the housing cost is probably cheap in Gotham because Batman
It's
sucks
dirt
at his
cheap.
job.
It's dirt
Okay,
cheap.
Sean,
Yeah.
Sean Murphy, man, you've replied to some of my tweets, my tweets so far. Hopefully, you're watching this right now. Sean Murphy had, dude, I love. Okay, so they have this story called Batman the White Knight. All right, it's this amazing idea. What happens in Gotham? What we don't know, like what goes on in Gotham City in this alternate reality story, is they have what's called the Batman. What is it? The Batman Devastation
You've
Fund.
told me about
yes,
this.
but,
Yeah.
but they call it a natural disaster
They call it a
fund.
natural disaster fund, and like shit gets torn up, and the property values tank, and the rich people buy it. The city rebuilds it, and the rich people sell it.
Gentrification.
For top dollar, and they,
Yep.
they spend no money to fix it up. They just ride that stock value up. And I was like, dude, what a like a genius idea to just make everybody look like an asshole in Gotham
yeah.
City. But like no, I mean, but see that's the kind of thing that like people think about.
So you
like
want Batman to be bad at his job?
no. What I'm saying is people can look at that and say Batman is bad at his job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like people
I
can
mean,
look at Gotham City and say like.
Yeah. The tycoons, they want
Yeah.
Batman to be bad at his
Yeah,
job.
yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want. Well, that's the whole idea. Is like Batman only goes to like the high crime areas,
Right.
Which happen to be in the poor parts of town. So like Batman is an enforcer for the rich people against the poor people. That's how the whole story gets.
It's
started.
And he
Yeah.
doesn't even know that he's doing
He doesn't even know he's
He
doing.
doesn't. That's the best part
Yeah.
because the Batman Devastation Fund is just funded by Wayne Industries. So he's just funneling in to fix things.
Right.
It. Yeah,
But what he's been doing this whole time is been setting up for this
Gotcha.
whole thing.
Yeah.
The comic opens up with him and the Batmobile racing over the rooftops of the poor side of town. And he's just destroying them left and right. And everyone's like, you gotta stop, you're gonna
Stop.
destroy it. And he's
Yeah.
just like, they're gonna
My
fix
rooftop garden.
yeah. They're
it. Oh, I want a rooftop garden. Can we install that on my roof?
Sideways.
Sideways?
Yeah.
A rooftop garden?
garden needs to be flat.
Oh,
We
I
don't
know
have
that.
a
Yeah,
flat
we'd
area
have
here,
to,
Leaf.
we'll make it flat.
I mean, I'll be honest though. I would
Yeah.
be kind of interested to see a slanted.
Sideways
I'd love
Yeah.
to see how you get that soil to be flat.
So anyway, we're still on topic, but I don't even
Yeah.
know how we got to this point.
But
But
yeah,
getting
no.
cynical and then-
Batman failing. People like to look at Gotham City and say like, see, that's a town I would like. That's a city I'd never live in. Gotham City, that sounds
Never.
like the South Side of Chicago. That sounds like the crappy parts of LA.
Yeah.
Like people can take that and throw it into like existing cities, and then say like, well, what if Batman was there? Like, man, like imagine what that place would be like. Like, man, and people can make that into like a relatable, tangible thing.
Yeah.
So you're saying that the reason why Batman is more popular than Superman is because those kind of stories. Well, Superman is just like Metropolis is bright and sunny, and he stops everything, and it's amazing.
Well,
And like
Superman-
that's part of the problem. Is Superman's aren't nearly as interesting as a Batman plot.
Well, Superman stories are usually like the end times, or his villains aren't very intriguing. That's why stories like right now in DC Rebirth are really successful,
Yeah.
because it's not just Superman fighting some guy. I mean, it's basically Superman fighting villains he's fought before. DC's just kind of reworking them. What makes it matter is like he's teaching his son to be a superhero. That's
Yeah.
what makes that cool. Now the question you have to ask is what happens when that stops. Then his stories will start, they'll stop being interesting. But for the time being, like you change the dynamic a little bit, and that's what makes it cool. It's the people around Superman that make him interesting, not so much Superman himself.
Okay,
That's
well,
kinda
what
how I
about the argument then that that's what makes Superman stories boring? Like we've even had our jokes where we're trying to like set up like, oh, who would fight Superman? It's very hard to make a plot that doesn't end with kryptonite or magic.
Well, okay, but just because it ends with kryptonite or magic doesn't mean that it has to be a bad story.
No.
To me, like Superman's story arc should never be like 2 or 3 issues if you're going for like something significant.
Like the Mr. Oz thing. That was huge.
The Mr. Oz thing, yeah, it was huge.
Yeah.
Like it should be like, I mean, it should like Superman should in some form or fashion have a story where it all basically boils down to the plot of Hush. Like each of the stories is like that, where it's basically like somebody somewhere pulling the strings, and all these things are happening, and it's designed to like trick Superman or befuddle him or something like that. That's the issue with having someone like him who's basically indestructible. Is it is magic, or it's kryptonite, or someone equally as strong as him. And if they're equally as strong as him, well then now it's an Earth-based threat. Which why isn't the Justice League there? So like when it
Yeah.
comes down to Superman, it is. Okay, like, here's a guy where basically no real villain on Earth could stop him, aside from those who use magic or kryptonite. But that's the other thing. Like, you have villains like Deathstroke. In DC Rebirth, Superman fights Deathstroke, and Deathstroke throws green rocks at him. And Superman thinks it's kryptonite. And then he catches the rocks and he's like, oh, it's just green rocks. Stuff like that is what makes stories interesting.
Yeah.
Just because you have a guy who's indestructible and basically can't be beaten aside from the highest level echelon of characters doesn't mean you can't make his stories intriguing. I think that it's only been recently DC managed to figure that out. Managed to kind of capture the...
Well, I think the problem is you got to get a writer that knows what he's doing with Superman. Yeah. Bendis could go horrible, it could go amazing by building up the cast around Superman. Yeah. But it's difficult to find someone who solidly can tell a story about Superman that doesn't involve Brainiac or Doomsday coming back for the 90th time or resetting Superman again or something along those lines so you can create stories.
Yeah. Well, the way you do that is you write stories where it doesn't boil down to a fight.
Yeah. Well, and they've tried that before. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. I mean, things like Red Sun are great.
Oh, God, yes.
But I mean, there's not even that much fighting in Red Sun.
Yeah, I love Red Sun.
Side note, we don't normally do this here on the podcast, but I am going to do it today.
What?
We don't normally acknowledge the Twitch chat while we're streaming.
Yeah,
we don't normally. But today I'm going to full-on acknowledge one of the members of our community who has been on our Twitch community since its inception. It is me Elmo's birthday, Rob.
Oh. Oh. A birthday, you say? Well, happy birthday, Splooge.
For those of you guys who are watching this and don't watch the weekly poll, Splooge is actually from our other podcast.
That's our other podcast.
But me Elmo's on both.
It's weird, man, but they go ham over that stuff, man.
I know.
Oh, they love
I've
it.
heard.
It's nuts, man. They are all about Splooge.
Yep. But if you're wondering about the Twitch community, we do stream this podcast every Thursday morning. We also stream a Comicstorian weekly one every Sunday. We also stream more stuff on Monday. And then every other week is a weekly poll podcast on every Tuesday. So that's our Twitch community. Happy birthday, me Elmo.
Happy birthday.
Wow. Happy birthday, me Elmo.
So I mean, we kind of discussed like the popularity of Batman versus Superman. We discussed some of the problems of Superman overall. But so then let's ask this question then. If Batman is more popular, how is Superman more recognizable? And it's not like time as a superhero, because I think, Superman had a year on him?
Okay, there's a really good answer to that question. Mark Waid did an interview in like the 1990s, and he was talking about the nature of Superman, and that was a question they were asking. It was like a USA Today article or something like that, and they were like, why is Superman so popular? And he said, because Superman is everything to everyone. Like, Superman embodies whatever any one particular generation stands for. Like back during World War II, he was patriotic.
Yeah.
In the 1950s, he was science fiction. In the 1960s, he was the hippies. In the 1980s, he was a lost generation. So on and so forth. Just each one of those things. He stands for each one of those groups. 70s, 80s, 90s, a whole 9 yards. He always imbues whatever the values of that group is, because he's designed to be malleable like that. Mm-hmm. So that I think is why he's so recognizable, is because he's literally everything to everyone. So.
I mean, I get that. I do. And if you think about it, every time that he's, other than his weird phase in the Silver Age,
I mean, but that's the science fiction part.
I know. But yeah, you're right, because he's always had he's at the wife and the kids in the 90s. And that was kind of like the dream back then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to grow up, I'm going to get a 9-to-5 job, and I'm going to get the wife and the kids. And also, sidebar, Mopey, I turned the happy birthday to me, Elmo, into a plug, but he did get a happy birthday.
He did get a happy birthday, and a splooge.
But I'm also a businessman.
No, I mean, they never.
You know what? Kids. Screw you, Twitch chat.
he never had any kids in the 90s, but no, he was married. I mean, that was.
But no, what I'm saying is the American dream at the time was to get the house, the wife, the kids, and there was always that hint that he would have the kid. I remember there being an otherworldly story where Lois got pregnant and the kick from the baby killed her.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't remember much more about it, but what it was he had a child, and the child was Kryptonian, and when the baby finally kicked, it actually killed her. It was so powerful.
Just kicked a hole through her stomach?
They didn't show that, but it was the kick just ruptured something and her whole body died off.
Yeah.
This is the 90s. I wouldn't have put it past boom, I am John Kent. And he just
I like how
aliens.
I like how they handle that. Like in DC Rebirth, they handled that. They were like, oh, well, your powers come along with puberty. So like that you were just born as a normal human, a normal baby human. So that's
a good answer for that though.
Yeah, that's how you kill your
vision. Oh, heartburn to the extreme.
Yeah.
Eating spicy food and just heat vision starts.
But what I'm saying is in the 90s, he was the American dream. That's what they were aiming for. You wanted to be Superman. You didn't want to be Batman. You wanted to be Superman. Batman had those really weird movies like Batman Forever.
No, I mean you wanted to be. I mean that Superman. That
you thought Batman was cooler. But you wanted to be Superman with the perfect job and the perfect wife.
No, you wanted to be Batman back then. You
didn't want to have a job, a 9-to-5 job, working at a newspaper with Lois Lane at home in a condo high-rise apartment in
Not
Metropolis.
when I was 11, no.
No,
not really.
I wanted to be Iron Man.
You want to be Iron
You
Man?
wanna be Iron
I
Man?
did. Oh, Iron Man was.
Why Iron
I
Man?
used to emulate the Incredible Hulk.
He was an alcoholic back then.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that as a kid. All I knew
Alcoholism looks
was
like
that
fun.
in the
Iron Man
90s.
makes it work.
In the 90s, Iron Man carried a briefcase that turned into an Iron Man suit. And
Yeah, it
that
did.
was what I wanted.
Yeah. He also,
And alcoholism.
He
Not
also got
alcoholism.
de-aged into it like a teenage kid. That was bad.
What?
They de-aged Iron Man, turned him into a
remember
teenage
that.
kid. Yeah, it was not.
was funny.
It was bad.
Interesting.
I wanted to be Superman. I thought Batman was cooler. I followed the stories of Azrael closer. I followed Spider-Man 2099 because you had like a badass Spider-Man who now is just goofy, kind of ruined the whole plot. But
I mean, honestly, I think Superman is kind of a foregone conclusion. Like, I think that's what it like. Literally, they could write anything about Superman and like it will sell to someone. Like it'll sell low, but like it will always sell.
Yeah.
I mean, that's because that's kind of where you've reached at the moment. And I think that's why Batman sort of proves to be more popular is because everybody knows Superman will always win. Like in the main DC continuity, there's only one time he ever died, and he didn't really die. So Superman always lives and he always wins. And so because of that, like Batman can fail, Batman can screw up. There's never been an instance in the history of DC Comics when Lois Lane has died in the main DC universe.
in the main
DC universe. There's never been an instance in the history of the main DC
there's
universe.
a lot of stories of her
Oh yeah,
dying.
there's a lot of stories where she died. But like, there's never been an instance in the history of the main DC universe when like Jimmy Olsen died.
Yeah.
There's never been an instance in the main DC universe.
no, but
where-
Superman did adopt Jimmy Olsen once.
Yeah, he did. But but the people that surround Batman are like irrevocably safe. They will always be safe. Everything will always be okay. Whereas Batman, Jason
Unless you're
Todd died,
Stephanie
like-
Brown.
Well, kind of. I mean, yeah, that's true.
Superman, your argument is that Superman is the proverbial fence around the playground.
Yeah, I guess.
And that all the other superheroes can make mistakes inside the playground area. You can get rough. You can do whatever you want. But Superman is that like bear. He's that safety net.
Nobody ever looks at Superman and sees a guy who can fail. Like nobody ever sees that. And because they don't see that, they don't see anything relatable. Because people screw up. They say shit they shouldn't say. And
I think is the problem.
What?
Because yes, Superman has failed. Yes, Superman has had great stories, but in general, he's pictured as being perfect, giantly muscular, no problems, perfect wife, perfect kid. He's got a farm. He
always knows what to do.
Always
So
knows.
what are
he's
you?
always,
Are you advocating that, like Superman just like beat Lois or something? I mean,
No. What I'm saying is,
don't
we
understand.
never hear about the times he's failed or had problems or anything.
Right.
Yeah, but that almost
And even
never
in
happens.
Rebirth, when was the last time he failed?
Yeah, he never fails. Like, and even if he fails now, like it gets made up for in like the next story because it's part of like the big ongoing story.
Hell,
Like,
even his
oh,
failure,
man.
the planet that died, they were like, well, it's not his fault. Everyone wanted to die.
Yeah, that see, that's it right there. They had this story they recently did where Superman and Jonathan were hanging out, and there was something they picked up like a distress. Oh no, it was after Krypton.
Yeah.
And they discovered another planet was going to go the same way as Krypton did.
Yeah.
And so they raced to the planet, and they were like, okay, we're going to save these people. And when they get there, all the scientists have been killed off because like religious zealotry had taken hold of everybody. And so they're like, well, this planet's destroying because our God wants us to die.
Yes.
And Superman's like, but like no though, like your God made you, He wants you to live. And they're like, well, who are you to question our beliefs? And so ultimately they just have to walk away. Because like they want to die, and so it's like see that right there. Now that doesn't show a failing of Superman. It shows a human side that sometimes Superman can't always win. But
You know what else it
doesn't-
shows?
What?
It shows our ad for 4 hymns.
Oh,
We'll be right back after this commercial message. Today we've been talking about the various problems that Superman has had about being popular and why Batman has always beat him. And one of those issues may be because maybe Superman has sexual performance issues. Maybe he has ED, erectile dysfunction. Over 25% of new ED cases are guys under 40, and Superman looks like he's 30, so I'm just assuming he could have a problem over there. Well-known genetic equivalents to name brand prescriptions can help you combat ED if you have this problem yourself. You don't need snake oil pills or gas station counter supplements. You can have prescription solutions backed by science. No waiting room, no awkward doctor visits, no lines. Save hours by going to 4hymns.com. It's so easy. All you have to do is go to 4hymns.com/RANDB. If you go right now, you can try 4hymns for a month for only $5. They'll get you started while supplies last. Check out the website for full details. This would cost you hundreds if you went to the doctor or the pharmacy. And maybe you're perfectly fine in bed, but what if you don't want to lose your hair or you want to take care of your skin? If you just want to be as goddamn sexy as Superman, then go check out 4hymns.com. Link is down below. So anyway, yeah, it shows...
previously on this episode. We were talking about how Batman's more popular than Superman. Having said that, I would say no. I mean,
You were trying to remember what you said 2 minutes ago.
I was trying to remember. Anyway, the point is that story didn't show a failing of Superman. It simply just said like you can't always win.
Yeah.
And it kind of blurred the line. I mean, it asks the question: is Superman legitimately right to tell an entire race of people that he's never met, well, your beliefs are wrong. You should listen to me. Like I know better than you. And he didn't. He simply said
a prime directive.
Yeah, he used a prime directive. Yeah, he would just stay hands off. The planet would have just blown up anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
It wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, and that's cool, and it shows like the human side of Superman. But he hasn't failed. Like Injustice was Superman failing. Yeah. He killed his own wife and unborn child.
Yes.
Like, and did it by accident when he was tricked by the Joker.
That was the worst part about that. Because, like, we've had stories where Lois dies and he just goes, like, and becomes a recluse. But the reason why Injustice went so crazy is, you know how that happened? No. Joker injected kryptonite with fear gas and then it got it to go into Superman's brain and everything. Mm-hmm. She was pregnant with his child and he went into the submarine and thought he saw Doomsday. Started punching Doomsday, lifted her. I don't think they showed him punching because they were trying to avoid that. Yeah. But in turn, basically, his plan for Doomsday was to launch him into space so that he couldn't breathe, and that would defeat him. So he grabbed Doomsday, launched him into space, and that's when the fear gas wore off, and he had done it to Lois.
Yeah. Oh, it's the saddest thing because Batman's like, Clark, like, that's not Doomsday. Like, that's Lois. And then, like, the next scene is Superman just looking at his dead wife.
Yeah, floating in space.
Yeah.
And his argument is, like... You're like, because Superman, they're like, they may have tricked you to do things, Superman, but I was the gun. They launched me at my wife.
Yeah, yeah, that's the whole point. That's the whole argument he makes. Like I killed her. Like, and that's kind of the crazy thing is it takes something that extreme to show like a failure of Superman. I mean, people around Superman dying, different things like that. Like Kingdom Come is a really good example of kind of him failing, but not really. It's more like society's failure.
Dark Knight Returns too. He just goes to get frozen in the Antarctic.
Yeah. I mean, it's all those crazy things that go on. Like it's people look at like by and large most of Superman's stories he doesn't fail. Mm-hmm. He doesn't screw up. He doesn't really make mistakes. If he does, they're easily rectified.
Right.
You know, like he's all, well, you know, you always got to do the right thing, and by golly, you know, always just come out on top because, you know, and that's the problem that people have. It's like this guy never makes mistakes. This guy never screws up. This guy never does anything wrong, and that's not interesting. People like to see somebody fail. They like to see them make mistakes.
Well, can you also make the argument then that there is something that Superman can't win at, and that is if he's too good, nobody likes him. If you make him super flawed and almost superhuman, then nobody likes him because he's no longer the Superman they know and love.
You know what? That's exactly what they tried.
So they tried that in the New 52.
Yeah, and so literally in that area, Superman just can't win.
Yeah, no, it's a no-win scenario.
He was too powerful and he's just too perfect.
Right.
So in the New 52, they made him like, I think it was 22 or 23, just graduated college, was unsure of himself, had no control over his powers, and he was just like a kind of a depressed Superman.
Super flawed, yeah.
And it wasn't as it was like, well, that's not Superman anymore.
Yeah.
And then
what do you people want from me?
Yeah, that's. I mean, if they took him back to like the Golden Age Superman, where he could just like jump really high and fly, and like he's kind of strong.
They did that too, and no one liked it.
Yeah. If they did
took
that,
his powers away, made him that way.
If they did that, like it wouldn't be interesting. Like that's the problem with Superman. There's no win scenario. There's no way to make him interesting to everybody and send him back to the peak again. Because I think the era of people looking at Superman as like the standard of a superhero has basically passed. Like I think people are like, he's like a superhero. He's the superhero. His legacy is what keeps him going.
He's reached kind of this like generic status.
Yes,
like
exactly.
He's the generic superhero. You ask a child, an adult, anybody to just draw a superhero, they inevitably draw Superman.
Which leads me to the next topic of today, because we're not done. Why do I remember reading the article that we can't find right now, and I will admit that we can't find the article, but that the Superman symbol is more recognizable than the Christian cross in parts of the world. Why is that the case?
I mean, because Superman he's Clorox, he's laundry detergent, he's paper towels, he's Tide Pods. Tide Pods. He's a house. He's a household
brand,
thing.
He's a product.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a recognizable product. I mean, it's. You'd have to leave Earth to find people who don't know who Superman is, or like find some Aboriginal tribe that's been isolated from humanity for like 500 years.
They have one of those. They're off the shore of Africa or China or something like that.
Didn't they like attack people when they showed up?
They did. It's there. If you are curious, look up this place. Sidebar: there is I don't know if you know about this. There is an island that is off the shore. I want to say one of the Asian countries. Okay. But it is off the shore of it, and it's a tribe that is completely separated from the world. And it has been that way for so long that they have now decided that it would be bad for the health of the inhabitants to introduce them to anything else in the world. They have just reached the Iron Age, and only because a plane crashed near them.
Wow.
That's like...
It's pretty amazing.
It is so fascinating.
That is
yeah.
fascinating.
But they're also... They don't know what they are, but they're highly aggressive. So anytime anyone has tried to go to the island, they will kill them and everything. So like the decision has been to leave them be.
Yeah.
Pretty good decision.
Yeah. They do that to Magellan, I think, didn't they? Like he got eaten in the Philippines. Or maybe it was like his crew
I don't
was
remember.
eaten or
It's been
something
a
like
while.
that. I don't know. But regardless, yeah. No, but that's what's so interesting to me is you know, he's a guy that can't make mistakes and can't fail.
Yeah.
And people just don't like that.
Okay.
No.
Well, because I'm trying to...
But you're talking about
the Christian
more
symbol now.
recognized,
Yeah,
yeah.
you went back 2 topics ago. We're on a different time. We've moved
I
on.
forgot what the topic was.
Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, like I said, he's a brand. I mean, that's all it is.
You think? Okay.
Yeah.
Because the Christian cross, while known around the world,
Right.
there are different religions that are more prominent in various locations.
Sure.
But the Superman symbol is the
Yeah,
same
it's
everywhere.
neutral. It's
There is no
universal.
Chinese
It's- yeah.
Superman. There is no
Right.
Indian Superman.
Well, there is a Chinese
Well,
Superman,
there are,
actually.
yes.
Yeah,
But,
There is now.
but the symbol's the same.
The symbol's
It's the same.
No,
all
it's
the
a
way
different
across.
symbol.
Yeah.
It's still the S on the bar
But
in
the
different
thing,
styles.
he's accessible to any audience because his beliefs are pretty much neutral.
Yeah.
It's like he stands for the best in humanity. He doesn't stand for the best in a certain belief system.
Yeah,
I remember when
he's
it
not
made
Captain
headlines
America.
Yeah.
that he
Yeah, he's not
stopped
Captain
being for America. Remember, it used to be, his slogan was truth, justice, and the American way.
Yeah.
And they dropped that like late 90s to just make it truth and justice.
Yeah.
And it made headlines that Superman is no longer fighting for America.
Yeah, why should he, man?
Right.
No, I agree with that. He is so powerful.
He could go anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be.
Why would
limited
he
to
be
America.
an American superhero? That makes
Yeah.
sense for Captain America.
he fights for
if Captain
you-
America
yeah.
was like, now I'm Captain India, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Oh, I guess Steve Rogers,
yeah,
like, he left. He got tired of this shit. He bolted.
I mean, it makes sense. So he fights for universal values.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
that
like the values of
everybody can
humanity.
agree with.
Everyone can
Exactly.
agree with
Yeah.
truth and justice.
Yes.
Not everyone can agree with the American way and communism.
Exactly.
And,
Yeah.
truth, justice, and communism.
Yeah. Exactly.
Justice and the capitalist way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Truth, justice, and oppression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be amazing.
Truth,
like,
justice, and
like-
Buddhism.
like, dude, Superman shows up to rescue you, and it's like, oh, thank you, Superman. It's like, yes, now that'll be like $1,100. Like,
Capitalism.
just send him a bill.
You get a bill from Superman.
Wait, that was another. What? That was a TV show or something that was a superhero, but he charged for everything he did.
Really?
Deathstroke did that for a while. Deathstroke would come. Did you read that?
No.
Deathstroke's Teen Titans
Yeah.
was the funny. I didn't read all of it, but every time I would read it, Deathstroke would come in with his Teen Titans. They would fix everything, and then as he was leaving, whoever's in charge is like, "Here's the bill." You're like,
Wow.
what?
He would bill people.
He would bill people when
But
he
I didn't
left.
ask for your help.
That's exactly what it was.
It's like you get charged for an ambulance. I think that's absurd.
That
I'm
is
just
absurd.
saying. I'm just saying.
That is
When I
kinda
had my
nuts.
Yeah.
concussion and I took the spill on the cement, Natalie was calling the ambulance.
Yeah.
I was like, no. Call a friend. Ambulance costs money. Friend does not.
Exactly. Yeah.
They'll get us there.
Exactly. Look
Get us
at
there
us
just as fast.
Yeah.
Do not call an ambulance.
call an
Those things are goddamn expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts. But yeah, no, I mean that's. I mean,
And that's why he's better than Batman.
yeah,
I'm going back 2 times
because he
before.
bills people. No. I mean, yeah, Superman's a brand. That's all. He's Sony, Samsung.
Yeah.
I could see
Apple
that, and I
iPhones.
could see it being more because everyone in America recognizes the Christian cross, and the Catholic Catholicism, and we recognize all these different religions.
Most people in Europe will recognize it. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you go to what's the prominent religion in China? Is it Buddhism?
Yeah.
I have no
well,
idea.
actually, in China,
Do they not have a national religion?
they
I
don't.
think they do.
Well, no.
Yeah.
Most
No?
countries don't have a national.
Well, okay, not national in the sense of
I mean,
like,
even in
they're
America,
average
it's a
nation,
toss
but-
between like Christianity and Catholicism. And,
Yeah, there hasn't been
Yeah.
a national religion since like the monarchy of England fell. And
But you would assume
Church
the
went
Christian
with it,
cross
so.
would be a recognizable thing
Sure.
that should, in theory, beat out a superhero symbol.
well, I guess the monarchy didn't really.
But I
fall.
guess we're saying is that Superman has surpassed just being a comic book
Yeah.
with that
Yeah.
symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like for all the notoriety that Superman has, you might as well have a comic book about a Blu-ray player or have a comic book about an Apple iPhone. That's what it comes down to. Like
Because he
it's
just
a
means
comic,
more than his story.
yeah,
at this point.
it's a comic about a brand. I mean, that's why you have Superman toys and it's almost like gene memory, right? Like people are born knowing who Superman is. because
Right.
it's just so
Yeah.
ingrained in society. So
Yeah.
yeah, he's transcended comic books. He's
He's like Mickey Mouse.
Mickey Mouse.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, Mickey Mouse is not Disney anymore. Mickey Mouse is just designed for fun and
Yeah,
kids
exactly.
and,
Yeah,
and
he's a
childhood.
whole
Everyone
other
knows
thing.
the ears.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the ears. Yeah.
Everyone knows the ears.
MICKEYMOUSE.
Yes. Mickey Mouse.
Why didn't
That
you
was
sing
fun.
with us?
I didn't know it.
Let's do it again.
Dude, the Mickey Mouse Club.
You
theme
guys
song?
spell.
No.
You spell. Okay.
Oh my
ready,
God.
Do it
When I
again.
was a
Ready?
kid, I watched Doug.
Doug was cool, but
I didn't watch the Mickey Mouse Club.
Doug was cool. Doug is actually on Hulu.
What?
It's on Hulu.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We'll try it again. Ready?
Yeah, it's like the whole
MICKEYMOUSE.
MICKEYMOUSE.
He is
Am I a
not
part of the
fun.
club?
Oh my God.
That
You're
make
never
you
going to
part of
Disney
the
World with us.
You can't go to Disney
You
World.
can't go to Disney World with us. Not until you recite that and sound like you give a damn. Like, then you'll be
Sound
able
like
to go.
you give a damn.
Yeah, then you'll be able to go. Just saying.
I love Disney World, man.
Oh, dude, Disney
It's the
World's
same thing. Everyone
amazing.
knows Mickey. Nobody knows what his original name was supposed to be.
What was his? I don't even
Oh
know.
yeah, it was. No, I'm thinking he was based off of an existing character. It was a fox. I'm pretty sure.
Steamboat Willie.
No,
That was the first
that's
cartoon.
the first
His
Mickey
first
Mouse
cartoon,
cartoon.
Also starts with an M.
Does it?
Yeah, Mortimer.
Mortimer.
Oh, I
Yeah.
do know that.
Yeah, he was
Yes.
Mortimer
originally going to be
Mouse.
called Mortimer, and then
Did you know
his-
Superman's original name was Amazing Man?
That's awful.
That's not true at all.
It is true.
Too many
Yeah.
syllables.
Look at the original Joel
many
Siegel
syllables.
notes. I'm serious.
Amazing.
It's there.
man.
They have the whole notes in the issue 1000.
Oh, do they?
No, I'm just totally BSing you.
Okay. It
was an Amazing Man?
No, dude, I would read the
Okay.
hell out of those notes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
No, originally he was a villain.
Yeah, he
Superman
was actually.
Really?
Yeah.
I did
Yeah,
not know that.
actually, the bald Lex Luthor was based off the original version of Superman.
The funniest part is Rob for
Wait.
6 months had a theory that the villain Mr. Oz was the original Superman.
Dude, no, yeah,
I don't know who that is.
it was
Mr. Oz.
Mr. Oz turns out to be Jor-El. It's Superman's father. He got
Oh,
ripped out of time
okay.
right before he died.
Gotcha.
And then he got like infected
Okay.
with kryptonite, which made him kind of crazy. So what he was trying to do was make Superman a better Superman by removing his human elements. That was
Yeah.
that was the plot behind it.
They actually
Okay.
want to remove him from Earth and just be
Yeah.
like, let Earth die.
Yeah,
Like,
that was his
okay.
plot.
yeah, it was kind of interesting.
So anyway, no, but Rob had this theory because we didn't know who Mr. Oz was. It was a
Yeah.
big debate.
Yeah.
But he was shown to be bald. Although it turns out he has like a weird half mohawk. But anyway,
Yeah,
he was
it's
shown to be
kinda crazy.
bald, and Rob had this theory that it was the original Superman.
Well, it wasn't
Original
my original theory. It was a theory I read on Reddit or something like that. But the original Superman was bald. He was a telepathic villain. And that was back in science fiction, The Advanced Guard of Future Civilization.
And he was called Superman.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Well, he was called the Superman, and that was the original Jerry Siegel, Joe Shuster, Cleveland, Ohio high school version.
Okay.
And then they reworked him, and they turned him into like the Superman that we know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, like that was my thought, and even like the bald version of Lex Luthor was based off that original Superman. My thought was that Jor-El was like the original Superman who somehow came back, because I thought it'd be like a cool tribute to like the original.
I thought so too, but my argument against that theory was that it just wasn't recognizable enough.
Yeah, it was way
Yeah.
too obscure. In
Yeah.
hindsight, it would be way too obscure.
Because they were hyping up that Mr. Oz was some big deal. And you're like, to do that.
Yeah.
You'd have to pull from some pretty
Yeah.
obscure sources.
So anyway, though, so what we're basically boiling the rest of this finale of this podcast down to, because Dan, how far into this one? I think we're like 45 minutes.
About 45.
43.
43. Okay.
Okay. So much for being in one of our shortest episodes.
Yeah, I know. That's why. I mean, we're probably still gonna talk for a few more minutes. But what I'm saying is, so we're basically getting at is that while religion is popular and people know about it, there are way too many different religions that people are following. So yes, the Christian cross is recognizable.
Yeah.
But the symbol of Superman transcends everything.
Yeah.
At this
Yeah,
point.
I like what Gary said. It's a universal theme. Like
Right.
everybody values life, everybody values the freedom to choose to live their own lives the way they want to, and everybody agrees that crime should be punished.
Right,
How
exactly.
people define that crime
It's
is
different.
contextual
Yeah, it's
based
different.
on, but the general theme that like crime should be punished.
Yeah.
Like people can find that through Superman. So yeah, it's a universal set of guidelines.
This is why I like Red Hood better. Crime should be killed.
Dude, I love Red Hood, man. He is brutal. No, I like classic Red Hood. Current Red Hood's okay.
No,
But he's not-
what
he's
I
not the
like
same.
about current Red Hood, this is a complete sidebar.
Yeah.
Classic Red Hood.
You
I
are
agree
you are
with.
all about sidebar.
Oh, I got
Sidebarring.
why not? Tangent.
Sidebar.
You call it tangent. It's no different.
Sidebarring.
Sidebar.
Yeah.
Sidebar. Tangent.
Sidebarring.
Ice cream.
I'm sidebarring your sidebar.
And a side.
This-
And a side. A side.
yeah, I heard what you said.
Okay.
I'm just amazed
What?
that you said it.
Why?
Aside.
And a side.
So anyway, Red Hood original.
You don't care about the Mickey Mouse theme song. You say words like aside unnecessarily.
As I hear Rob
just to say
speaking
them.
to me.
I'm just, Gary, man.
So, anyway.
You can't go to
Red
jail.
Hood, what I like about current Red Hood, I still like classic Red Hood better, but what I like about current Red Hood is it is a natural progression of a character who was a Robin who is coming back.
But I like the
classic I'm a villain is still
Yes.
awesome.
I like Punisher version of Red
Yeah.
Hood. I like that guy. Yeah, he was cool.
Current Red Hood's like, I'll shoot you with taser bullets.
Yeah. I'll take you to jail or something. I'll use harsh words against you. Yell at you.
I'm the badass one with guns,
man.
but I don't kill anymore.
Yeah, I don't kill anyone. Like, well, that's nice, but like, I want to see you kill some folks. Just relentlessly murder a group of villains.
You're right, he was Punisher basically.
Yeah. It was cool. Yeah, he was pretty hardcore.
So sidebar. Now you made me
Aside.
conscious of it.
So aside.
M-I-C
Gary.
K-E-Y M-O-U-S-E.
Rob gives me that look again. And and I think to myself,
We're doing The Office now?
What do you think to yourself?
Are we doing Office moments?
nothing. I'm just making
Are you gonna look at the camera and just shrug, shrug like Jim?
So another common logo that I would say fits very well is Starbucks.
The current sponsor of future videos.
Did you know that this is apparently a mermaid?
Really?
Yeah.
She's
Speaking of
actually
branding and
she's
logos.
showing herself.
Yeah.
Just flashing everybody.
That's what she's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Starbucks logo is a mermaid spreading her legs.
Yep.
If only they'd included a little bit more of.
They did. The original, the
Oh,
original
really?
symbol was like the full deal.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess I got a lot of backlash.
How
over
does
it or
that
something.
relate to coffee? I know we're completely not talking about
Oh,
Superman
because it's based out of Seattle, Puget Sound.
No, I know that, but why would a mermaid matter?
Because mermaids exist in the Puget Sound.
Oh.
That's the reason.
Have you seen that show
Rob.
Siren?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
It's about they capture a mermaid girl.
No, I saw a mermaid in the Puget Sound once.
So anyway, Gary.
That
Oh, dude.
sounds perfect for our conspiracy cast later.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway.
So anyway, guys, thanks for joining us
Thanks.
today. I don't think there's much more we can say about the Superman topic. Does anyone have any final thoughts on the Superman? Why he's so popular?
Not really.
No. Why is he more popular
Primary
than Starfire?
colors.
What? Starfire?
Yeah, no, you're right though. Primary colors on him do help with that. It does pop very well.
Most of the good superheroes are based on are designed around primary colors,
Yeah.
and the bad guys have green. Anyway,
Green
why
is,
green?
green is a secondary
Green?
color.
Green. Well, that's one of the reasons. But green just always set apart. I did actually watch something where I learned something about comics. Green was basically just the color that set apart, at least in the Marvel universe, that set apart the villains from the heroes.
I did not know that.
That is true.
Yeah.
The original, Molecule Man was originally green and purple.
Yep.
The Vanisher was green.
Hydra
Look
was
at-
all green.
Spider-Man's
AIM is green.
The Incredible
Spider-Man's-
Hulk was green.
Spider-Man's villains.
AIM is yellow.
No, they have the green suits. Or am I just thinking Hydra suits looking like AIM
Yeah.
suits?
No,
AIM
is
and
yellow.
Hydra look too much similar at
Yeah,
times.
AIM wears the yellow radiation.
I think
suit.
Spider-Man's his biggest. His
The
villains. are
original
biggest
Radiation Man was
example.
green.
You have
Green Goblin.
Green
Kryptonite
Goblin.
is green.
Kryptonite is green.
Huh.
Green's
I
very,
never knew.
Very rarely.
Gary,
What
yes,
you- yeah.
us.
Just for us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hashtag Gary Facts. Gary Facts. Where'd you see that? Because I want to watch that.
I'll
Vulture?
I'll
Green
look
Goblin?
for it, but I can't remember like off the top of my head the guy's
Yeah.
name. But he's a YouTuber, and he did this whole video on.
I never. Radioactive Man, Fallout
The
Boy, the
color-
Twitch
yeah,
chat
it's
is still
the
like
Radioactive
comics,
Mesmero.
Yeah.
Hulk,
Well, I said
everyone's
Hulk.
saying the Hulk, but technically the Hulk was supposed to be, the idea of the Hulk is Dr.
Yeah.
Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
And the Hulk is Mr. Hyde. He's technically like the bad thing.
bad
yeah,
guy.
Mr. Hyde was the bad guy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying because they're like,
He was
well,
not the
Hulk.
hero of that story.
Yeah.
Green Lantern, but he was a good guy who wore red when he was the original version.
Yeah.
He had a big
Really?
red. He had a red suit, and it
Yeah.
was like a purple mask and a purple cape.
Yeah. So primary colors good, green bad.
Huh. On that note, this has been the RNBEG. This is our
moly.
weekly podcast right here at Comicstorian, where we talk about some comic book stuff between me, Comics Explained, and sometimes Gary. Sometimes Dan. Sometimes everyone. You can find me
I'm
over at
just running through all
Comicstorian.
these colors, like all these villains.
He's
in
at
my
Comics
head.
Explained on Twitter. I'm at Comicstorian.
Steppenwolf
and
originally
Gary
was green,
is
right?
at Gary
I don't think
Cam.
so.
If
No,
you like
wasn't-
Gary and you want to chat about his facts, go
Yeah.
to Twitter at GaryCam4.
Yes,
And don't forget, this
that's where I
episode
am.
is brought to you by For Him.
That's actually where I live.
So that's it. If you want to go get yourself some hair products, you want to go get yourself some skin products or sexual wellness products based upon the ad that we gave you in the middle of this episode, then you can go ahead and go to forhims.com, RANDB. I get it?
Yep.
There you go.
Awesome.
Yes. Thank you, guys. If you're on the Twitch side, stick around. We're going to be setting up for another video or eating lunch. I got to go see what's going on.
Yeah.
Bye.